Have you ever pursued something with all your heart, believing it would bring you happiness, only to find yourself feeling empty afterward, or faced unexpected setbacks that left you questioning everything? I have, and maybe I got a solution for you. Hello everyone, I'm Selene, and welcome. I've been reflecting a lot lately on feelings of hopelessness and purposelessness. Emotions that many of us experience at different times in our lives. Today, I want to share some personal stories about times when I felt this way. Back in 2019, I was nearing the end of my master's program. Filled with ambition, I teamed up with some friends to launch a startup. We were passionate and believed wholeheartedly in our vision. I was so committed that I postponed my graduation to focus entirely on the venture and reduce my living expenses. But then, things started to unravel. My most trusted partner received a job offer from Alibaba, a chance he couldn't pass up. His departure was a significant blow. I was happy for him, but couldn't help thinking, what does this mean for our startup? Can we move forward without him? Then the COVID-19 pandemic hit. Suddenly, everything was in chaos. I couldn't return to school, and unlike many of my peers, I didn't have a job lined up. Financial stress began to mount as I faced the reality of our startup faltering. I asked myself, how did everything fall apart so quickly? What am I going to do now? Feeling lost and desperate, I decided that the only way out was to push myself even harder. If I just work more, take on more responsibilities, I can regain control. So I threw myself into multiple jobs. The typical 996 position and several side hustles. I barely slept, surviving on coffee and sheer willpower. I believed that by grinding relentlessly and relying solely on myself, I could overcome any obstacle. After a month of this relentless pace, I landed what I thought was the ultimate prize, a prestigious role as a bond trader. I told myself, this is it. All the hard work has paid off. Now I'll find the fulfillment I've been longing for. But I settled into the trader's role. A different reality set in. The job demanded that I suppress my emotions and make cold, calculated decisions. Wealth just became numbers on a screen, and each day blurred into the next. The more I worked, the more detached I became from those around me. I isolated myself, thinking that relying on others was a mere weakness. But the exhaustion and stress were taking a toll. I started to wonder, is this even sustainable? What am I sacrificing in the process? Despite achieving the success I'd been chasing, I felt an unexpected emptiness. The excitement of hitting financial targets was fleeting. In quiet moments, I couldn't shake the feeling of purposelessness. I asked myself, why am I still unhappy? Wasn't this supposed to be the solution? I noticed colleagues around me engaging in extreme behaviors, excessive partying, risky activities, as if trying to fill a void. It became clear that many of us were struggling with the same emptiness, despite outward appearances of success. The realization hit me. By pushing myself to the limit and isolating from others, I hadn't cured my struggles. I had only masked them. The temporary relief was fading, and the underlying issues remained. I realized I was drinking poison to quench my thirst. a temporary and harmful solution. The Chinese idiom 饮鸩止渴 describes this perfectly. Feeling more lost than ever, I began to search for a different approach. That's when I stumbled upon the teaching of Lao Tzu and the principles of Daoism. Lao Tzu emphasized living in harmony with the Tao, the natural flow of the universe. One concept that resonated deeply with me was Wu Wei, which means non-action or effortless action. It's about aligning with life's natural rhythm instead of constantly fighting against them. When nothing is done, nothing is left undone. I started to reflect on my journey. I realized that in my attempt to regain control by overworking and isolating myself, I had been resisting the natural flow of life. I was trying to force outcomes, and in this process, I was actually harming myself. Then I asked, what if I stop trying to control everything? What if I allow myself to be present and open to support from others? Embracing this new perspective, I began to make changes. I reduced my workload, focusing on quality over quantity. I reconnected with friends and family, allowing myself to lean on them for support. I practiced mindfulness, being present in each moment rather than obsessing over future outcomes. I accepted that it's okay to not have all the answers, and that relying on others isn't a weakness. I realized that peace isn't found in the relentless pursuit of goals, but in the stillness of embracing each moment. But you may ask, how does one find contentment in the midst of all this chaos? The road we walk is not merely a bridge to our ambitions. It's the very fabric of our existence. Each step holds meaning. Each breath is a verse in the poem of our lives. When we fixate solely on the summit, we miss the wildflowers along the trail, the whispering winds, the lessons whispered by the stones underfoot. Gradually, I felt a weight lifting off my shoulders. The feelings of emptiness began to subside as I found fulfillment in the journey itself rather than in reaching specific goals. Through embracing Taoism, I learned that pushing myself to the brink wasn't a solution. By aligning with natural flow of life and being open to connections with others, I found the sense of peace and purpose that I've been always missing. I know that success isn't just about achievement or external validation. It's about inner fulfillment, balance, and being true to yourself. Looking back, I understand the struggles I faced were important lessons. By trying to grind my way through and isolate myself, I was ignoring my true needs. It was only when I let go of all that mindset that I began to heal and grow. If you are currently feeling overwhelmed or empty despite your efforts, I encourage you to consider maybe allowing yourself to rest and not pushing beyond your limits, connecting with others, accepting help and support, embracing the present moment, finding joy in daily experiences, and exploring philosophies or practices that can resonate with you. Most importantly, ask yourself, am I nurturing myself, or am I just trying to quench my thirst with poison? If you had similar experiences like mine, how did you navigate through those feelings? I'd love to hear your stories and insights. Please share them in the comments below. If you found today's discussion meaningful, please consider subscribing to my channel. Your support means a lot to me. Please take care. and I'll see you next time.